Get You Some Radio.
If I'm tasked to make all these phone calls, which I know we're all having to do, the phone call is precious. But I see dealerships make 100 phone calls, they may get 7 people on the phone. And we got to look differently. I think those metrics are still like 10 years ago old. Right. I would say if you're engaging like 20 people, let's make the number more realistic. I don't care how you engage a customer, but I want 20 conversations from you, Terry, today.
Yeah.
And you know how much more relaxing I feel? Because I could engage them, let's say, on text. I could engage them on the phone. I could engage them via email. They could reply to a personalized video I'm sending. They may engage me on social media if I'm their friend. You know, I mean, there's just all these different ways we got to communicate. I think we're so heavily focused on the phone. But if you're saying, hey, of the people you're talking to, I want to get you these people on the phone. Well, that's another story because we can do so much going back and forth without getting on the phone.
Now, your weekly dose of inspiration, perspiration, and just the right amount of bull defecation. The Get You Some Radio Show with your host, the Vice President of Making Shit Happen, Terry Lancaster.
Greetings and salutations, everyone. Welcome to the Get You Some Radio Show. Terry Lancaster here, and I'm going to talk to you today. I was watching TV last night. I won't say I was watching the news because you know I don't watch the news, but I happened to be watching the TV, and a blurb came on about this congressional bill that's in the Senate that they're trying to get the cell phone companies to automatically block spam robocalls, because here's the number that I've heard, and I've heard different numbers, anywhere from 50 to 70%, but up to 70%, possibly 50%, maybe 37.17% of all phone calls today are spam calls, robocalls by a robot. And when I'm at a dealership and I'm training salespeople, this first screen that shows up, I have a screen that shows that the robots are coming to take your job. But at the end of the session, I talk about how the robots are not only coming for your job, they're making your job harder to do because there's so much spam on the telephone and in the email. People are ignoring your phone calls. They're ignoring your emails. They're harder to get in touch with. They're harder to communicate with. They're harder to build a relationship with because of the spam and the robots. Talking to Steve Roessler today from Drive Centric, and we're going to talk about ways to beat the robots, to have better, more effective communications with your customers by email, by text, by video, on the phone, and on your computer. Steve's going to tell you how to do all of that right after this.
Make more friends. Sell more cars. 97% of car shoppers say they would prefer to know their salesperson before they ever set foot in the dealership. People buy from people they know, like, and trust. And they refer their family and friends to people they know, like, and trust. Visit terrylancaster.org to learn how your sales staff can get more reviews, more referrals, and more repeat business by building better, stronger, more authentic relationships online and in real life. terrylancaster.org.
Steve Roessler, I'm going to get it out of the way because we're recording right after Game 6 of the St. Louis Blues. Are you okay? Are you okay?
I got my antidepressants all ready to go, my Prozac, my Zoloft. I'm ready to go. Just Game 7, just in case.
Man, there is nothing more heart-wrenching than the Stanley Cup Finals. I was a little disgusted when Nashville was in it a couple of years ago. I was a little disgusted with myself how emotionally involved I got in it. I mean, it was just heart-wrenching. It's an emotional roller coaster.
Well, I think any sporting event, you know, I've been a diehard hockey guy, and I watch the Stanley Cup all over the place. But I got to turn this off because otherwise it'll keep beeping.
Bing, 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 baby.
I know, man. But, yeah, no, I've been a diehard Blues fan all my life. And to finally get to the Stanley Cup in my lifetime, you know, because it's been over 50 years, it's just great for the city, and everybody turned out last night. But what a terrible, terrible loss.
Yeah, that was. Oh, and I got to tell you too, just so you know, in my office right over here, there's a picture of Bobby Orr flying through the air after Game 4 of the 19th Stanley Cup Final. I've got the autographed picture of Bobby just because I love Bobby. But
yeah, no.
So St. Louis has been there for. But enough about that. Why is it so hard to get in touch with customers these days?
Well, you know, everybody's busy. I think you go out there, and I was doing a lot of research because I'm actually presenting on this very topic, and it's just kind of amazing what the phone has become. It's almost like we're seeing a trend in communication over the years. We used to go out there, send a lot of emails, obviously make phone calls. You could walk in and see people. I mean, and let's face it. I mean, if I walked into a dealership and did a cold call, I get escorted out.
Yeah.
Today, we look at emails and we say, well, we're sending out all these emails, but everybody's getting all these spam emails. And I think now with phone calls and these robocallers that you've been talking about, the phone and our time is so precious, and people don't want to pick up the phone. It's an inconvenience. You could be working and doing something, and you're going to call me on your time. That doesn't make a lot of sense. And we got to start thinking about time is currency today. And I think if I'm going to pick up the phone for you, it better be something important, or it's going to be a family member emergency or something.
Yeah, I mean, and I'll be honest with you, you got the bells and whistles going on there. My phone only makes a noise if one of 5 human beings on the face of the earth are trying to get in touch with me. That's my wife, my children, and my father. My mother. So six human beings. So 6 human beings on the earth. That's the only time my phone's going to make a noise, because just like you said, I want to answer the phone on my time. I want to communicate on my time. I want to talk when I'm ready to talk, and also because I practice block timing, where the Pomodoro method, where I do one thing for 25 minutes, and that includes returning phone calls. So anytime I'm answering the phone, that just gets me out of the flow of what I'm doing right there. And because my phone number is published on the internet, I read that, the average person gets like 10 spam calls a week or something like that. The number that I had, I get 10 spam phone calls an hour, because my phone number is out there on the internet, and my phone's just ringing constantly with numbers that aren't anything to anybody. So I literally can't answer the phone.
No, it'd be crazy. I mean, I was doing a demo today, and I had 2 spam callers. I mean, it's crazy. And you do, and the thing is, they look legit, but you're dealing with people all across the country. Those area codes, and so it's more frustrating. If I'm working with somebody, in Nashville, for example, I get a 615 number. It could be a legitimate client, and you get the robocall, so it's so frustrating and aggravating.
The funny thing for me is, they do this thing. They spoof the numbers, where they're calling a 615 number. 615 is the Nashville area code. If they're calling a Nashville number, they'll spoof a 615 area code. Whereas 99% of legitimate phone calls I'm doing are all across the U.S. So if I get a 615 area code that I don't know, it's a spam call. I know it is, because if it's 615, it's one of the people I love, and I know their number. It comes up in my phone. If it's an unknown 615 number, automatically a robocall. So I talk a lot about how the car business has changed, not because the car business is unique and special and a rare and delicate flower. The car business has changed because the way people communicate has changed, and the way the sales process function has changed. Talk to us about these changes and what salespeople can start doing to get around this fact that people's time is so valuable, that people are being bothered by calls they don't want to make and they don't want to get. And how can we function now? You got the general manager yelling at you, got to make 100 calls a day. I need 100 dials. Dial the phone. What do we do?
Yeah, one of the things, and this is my 3rd industry being in automotive, but this is my 3rd startup company. But, whether it was in medical or whether it was in engineering and now in automotive, just with the transformation, I think one of the things that, I've adapted to, because again, I've been doing sales for 25 plus years. And, the way I look at what I'm doing today to be more effective is when I'm on the phone and we know time is precious, I'm going to ask you, Terry, are you a texter? And right there, if I could communicate back and forth with you via text and earn that right, then I know that I'm basically laying the groundwork and saying, Terry, look, I'm going to follow up with you next week, and let's just communicate and schedule a call via text. Whenever you have time, let's put it on the books. So I'm wanting to schedule even a quick 5-minute call. I'm going to lay the groundwork and make your time more effective, so we're not on the phone for, let's say, 20 minutes. I'm going to try to schedule that 5-minute call, because what you're going to get on the phone with me and talk about is very, very important, so we don't have to go back and forth via text. It'll take more time via text than it would. So I think when we're on the phone, let's explain what I'm going to do, how I'm going to follow up with you, and when I need you on the phone.
Yeah. Yeah, I think the funny thing is a lot of salespeople, they're trying to they've got and we'll talk about CRMs a little bit, but they've got the CRM and they've got this thing that they've got to do. They've got this task in front of them, and let's say it's make a phone call. And so they're trying to move the customer into their funnel because they've got this thing they've got to do, and they've got to communicate this way to fulfill their obligations. Well, not every customer wants to be on the phone. Not every customer texts. Some customers communicate on Facebook Messenger. Everyone has a preferred method of communications, and I think our first goal is to find out, well, how do we want to talk to each other? How do they want to talk to me?
Well, right, exactly. I mean, anytime I present on engagement, the first thing I always ask is, stand up if you prefer text over email, and it's enormous. Now, if someone says that they're not a texter, I'll go buy a lottery ticket, because I found a needle in a haystack today.
Right.
So, but if they don't want to text you, then I'd be like, well, maybe I didn't earn the trust. That's a factor that if you say, Terry, are you a texter? And you tell me no, my flag's going up as a sales guy. I said, man, he doesn't trust me yet.
Yeah.
Now, the way I would divert that is I'd ask you again, so you don't text your friends and family? Because if you told me no, and you're going to tell me, no, I don't text at all. I just got confirmation you're not a texter.
Right.
Just because, and that's going to happen. But if I'm tasked to make all these phone calls, which I know we're all having to do, the phone call is precious. But I see dealerships make 100 phone calls and they may get 7 people on the phone. And we got to look differently. I think those metrics are still like 10 years ago old.
Right.
I would say if you're engaging like 20 people, let's make the number more realistic. I don't care how you engage a customer, but I want 20 conversations from you, Terry, today.
Yeah.
And you know how much more relaxing I feel? Because I could engage them, let's say, on text. I could engage them on the phone. I could engage them via email. They could reply to a personalized video I'm sending. They may engage me on social media if I'm their friend. There's just all these different ways we got to communicate. I think we're so heavily focused on the phone. But if you're saying, hey, of the people you're talking to, I want to get you these people on the phone. Well, that's another story because we can do so much going back and forth without getting on the phone.
Right.
People's time.
Yeah, and well, the big you said people are dialing and you're getting 7 out of 10. You're leaving voicemail 7 out of 10 times. I think that's wildly optimistic. In my experience, it's closer to 9 out of 10 or 95 out of 100 times you go to voicemail. Especially me, you're trying to reach someone at a dealership or trying to reach someone in authority at a dealership, and you got to go through 3 gatekeepers, and you're just not going to get people on the phone like the way you could 15 years ago. So.
Yeah.
So let's start with this. So 95 out of 100 people you are calling are going to voicemail, or 7 out of 10, or whatever the number is. How do we leave a better voicemail? How do we get people to call us back when we need them on the phone? Because sometimes there's a conversation that you have to have on the phone. How do we get them to call us back?
Well, yeah, you gotta, especially with the transcriptions. I mean, there are obviously people out there consulting on, how to leave that voicemail, because you read the transcription. Nobody's listening to voicemail. I surely don't listen to voicemail.
Right.
I read the transcription. So you better, say, hey, this is so-and-so at your dealership. Question on the price, or question, I want to respond to you. You better make it informative in the first 2 sentences of that transcription to earn the right to get that call back. The other thing I'm not a big fan of, and I say get the call back, I'm not a big fan of that approach either, because we always put it on the customer, especially in the dealership. Hey, give me a call back. Here's my number. Like, that doesn't happen.
Right.
Hey, what's a good time for me to call you back, Terry?
Right.
That's what we need to be saying. What's a good time? And I'll call you at 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock. We're scheduling this meeting right here. It was on the books. Yeah. Well, what's a good time for me to have a phone call? And I think if we can slot people in for like a 15-minute window, hey, I just need your time for 15 minutes to ask you a few questions, go through your credit. I'll get it all in, and it'll make your time a lot easier. That's if the customer is at ease with what is going to happen on the phone call, I would take that phone call.
Yeah. Are you familiar with the term asynchronous communication?
No, I never heard that.
This is one of my favorite words, and I'm the only person in the whole wide world that knows what it means because I use it all the time. And it's why I prefer email and text and even voicemail messages to an actual live phone call or a video chat, because it is asynchronous. It happens at different times. You send your message when it's good for you. I read and respond to your message when it's good for me. That communication doesn't have to be synchronized. Each one of us can do it at the best time for us. And what you're saying is to use our asynchronous communication to find the best time to set an appointment for our synchronized communication. When we have to be together, when we have to be at the same moment in time, we need to build the appointment. And a lot of the sales process, especially in the car business, is about building an appointment culture where people are there, committed, not even necessarily there, you're saying, not even necessarily at the dealership, but set the appointments so that people are committed and involved and dedicated to talking to you at that moment in time.
Yeah, no, I love that. You'll have to text me over that word so I can put that. But that really is. I mean, if you just kind of think about it, it's like, I'm calling on dealerships all across the country, and to sit there and think that, the guy's not desking a deal, right, or in front of a customer, it's ludicrous. It's just crazy. So yeah, there's going to be a good time, and us at the dealership, we don't put the customer, because the customer's going through the same thing. If they're dealing with a doctor that could be in surgery, I'm going to call this guy, but he's in surgery. If I'm whatever it may be, you just don't know, and that's what we always got to remember is, to set up a time. I love that word. You just say that word again.
Asynchronous communication.
Asynchronous communication. I like that. I do like that.
Yeah.
But it just makes sense. I think that's the society we're in because you just don't know. And we got to respect people's time. And I think the more we, show that the customer's time is so valuable, which we preach at the dealership anyway, because we're trying to get that customer in and out of the dealership much faster. It's just, it keeps everything in sync with what we're trying to do when they're in the store too. So it could create a good upstream marketing message for that customer to come visit the store because we respect people's time.
So we're communicating by our phones now, but our phones aren't really phones. They're multifaceted, multi-purpose communication tools, and they give us so many options for communicating. We can text, we can send an email, we can send a video, and you are the Live with Drive guy. You got. Well, I think the hair and the flashy gold pendant. Show everybody the St. Louis Blues pendant. Come on, let's get it out there. There we go. I think the hair
with the cup.
I think you're the Live with Drive guy, and people are, and I'm preaching a lot about video communications because in my mind, video communications is the next best thing to eyeball, belly to belly, because we are eyeball to eyeball, belly to belly. We're just at a distance. So so video communications is becoming easier to do. And it's more effective because of the human touch. Let's talk about video messaging, video communications for a little while. How do salespeople get started with that?
Yeah, I think the first thing that everybody needs to do is just get comfortable with themselves on video, especially if you're doing a personalized video and one-to-one communication to where, it's only, like if I send you a video, it's only going to you, Terry. It's not going up on Facebook. It's not going on YouTube. It's one-to-one communication. And, if we go back and just kind of think about the dealership, right? You go into all these dealerships and everybody says, just get the customer in the store, and we know what to do with it. The reason why is I communicate in person with 100% of my tone, my body language, and my words. I get 100% communications. That's why we're all great in the showroom if we're good salespeople.
Right.
We talked about, we're sending out these emails. That's only 7% of what we're communicating. Now you get somebody on the phone, you get tonality, which is 38%, and you get 7%. So you're at 45%. That's why getting on the phone is so important, so you can get them in the showroom where we're communicating 100%. With the use of video, you're now sizing me up based, whether you like me, don't like me, if because of my hair, you want to call me Jimmy Neutron, I don't care. But if you remember me, that's all I care about, and that's what I mean. I think my biggest thing is how am I going to come across? And I think that's the thing you just got to do is figure out what is your brand with video. And when you get started, I asked my friends, I asked my family, and I've been doing this a long time, so I kind of knew I was out there. So that's my personality. This is the way I sell. I know I'm going to turn people up, but you got to be comfortable with it getting rejected. And I think that's the thing is people are like, well, I don't know, I'm going to look like on video. You got to get comfortable with it. There's haters out there all the time.
Yeah.
And you know, if somebody wants to rip on me on my hair, I'm fine with it. Okay, this hair is not for everybody, but that but that's what I'm trying to do. If somebody doesn't want to take me serious, that's not who I am. But sometimes I can be portrayed like that.
Yeah.
But video can really help customers understand who you are, make them comfortable, bring their guard down, versus reading that email and not understand, maybe worry that communication is going to be taken out of context. So video is going to be important to do an extension of the showroom, is what I call it.
Mm-hmm.
People are buying everything from home. Why couldn't I just communicate again asynchronously, right? Is that what the word
asynchronously?
Asynchronously, me send you that video, you watch my video on your time, and then you communicate with me because you size me up. And then instead of listening or reading that transcription, you're watching my video.
Yeah. And like I said, the key is for everyone to get comfortable. You know Adam Thrasher here in town, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, so Adam's a buddy of mine. He was on the show a few months back, and he told me these pearls of wisdom. I wonder, I might get it tattooed on. He said, but let everyone know your first video, it's going to suck. It just is until you get comfortable with it. Until it's until you're used to talking into a camera and treating a camera like it's a human being, making eye contact with the camera and trying to be a real live person with a camera. Until you get used to that, it's going to suck. But the only way you're going to get better is to suck first.
Well, right. And you know, just the basic things we need to do when you're shooting your first video, you know, like usually on most video platforms, you have a timer and it goes like 2 minutes or 1 minute, whatever the timer may be smiling, you know, before you hit record. And just like, you know, before the show, you did a 3, 2, 1 and hey, Terry Lancaster, right? It's the same thing. So when the timer goes from 2 minutes to 1:59 is when you start to talk. That's the number one thing.
Yeah.
I always say it's the best thing we can do on video is say the customer's name 2 times. You say at the beginning and you thank them at the end and you give them an actionable item. You know, a lot of times for the videos that I'm doing, I'm saying, what is a good time, Terry, for me to give you a call? Reply back to this because I'm sending this via text or I'm sending it via email, the video. I'm saying reply back. Let me know a good time to catch up with you.
Yeah.
That's what I'm doing is I'm asking for obviously an actionable item. And a lot of times what's a good time to pick up the phone or what's a good time for me to come in next week, whatever it may be. But now my text messaging or my emails will be communicated. Did you get the video?
Right.
That's what's key. And my left message, if I'm leaving a message, just sent you a video. So again, if we know video is power and video is king, and there's plenty of articles on this, my communication to every customer is pointing to watch the video.
Yeah. And I've seen salespeople talk about where they talk about almost like a round robin, where they'll just, if they've got a customer that they're desperately trying to get in touch with, they'll do those 3 things pretty much all at the same time or within short order. They'll send a video, they'll send a text, did you see the video? They'll send an email, did you see the video? And they'll leave a voicemail, I sent you the video, so that everything's chasing everything to get them back to watching that same thing. And people, video, the only thing I found remotely as powerful as video is sending postcards in terms of response that I get. If I send a video, whether it's a happy birthday video or just get in touch with the video, people, oh, hey, yeah, I saw your video. They people respond to that in the same way they get a postcard. I think it's because it's something that they can see. It's eyeball to eyeball, and it's a little bit out of the ordinary. One of the things that you said every video, you say the customer's names 2 times, and you say please and thank you at the end. I use an email service called Boomerang that helps me manage my inbox, and they've done some research that if you just include the customer's name and the words thank you in your email, you're going to increase response by about 70%. And they have a little meter when you're typing an email. They give you a meter of what's the chance that your customer is going to respond to this. And just typing thank you boosts that tremendously. So it's really nothing you didn't learn in kindergarten. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, we forget about that stuff, you know? I mean, this is really going back to the basics. I mean, I think we all say please and thank you, at least I hope we do.
Right.
But now it's just like, okay, well, if that's going to be a higher engagement rate, yeah, why wouldn't we put that somewhere where we know? Because if we're going to send an email or you're going to send a video and your goal is to get that customer to watch the video, click on it or read the email, whatever it may be. You got to know those tricks.
Okay.
Very important.
Any other tricks for video that, like I said, because that's kind of my big thing right now. I'm talking a lot about that. What's some more things that we could do to use video to make our videos more engagement, to make it easier for people who aren't comfortable using video to use video?
Yeah, props. I mean, one of the things I talk about is props. If you go out there and, look at any of those props, you got the Monster Inc. guy up there, right? For me, I mean, a prop could be a pen.
Yeah.
Okay. And I got guys that are pen in the ear guys, and I'll take it out like, hey, I just want to tell you, whatever it may be. It's something to put in your hand. A coffee cup, a water bottle. Doesn't really make a bit of difference. It's just going to relax the person. Like I'll say top of the morning to you, with a cup of coffee. I don't have here, I got a coffee cup, but it's not even filled with coffee. Look at that monster thing. It's just filled with pens and stuff. But I'd say, hey, top of the morning to you, Terry. It's just something that will relax me as a user, but also make me so dynamically more interesting versus me just, sitting here talking to you, blah, 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 blah.
Yeah.
But the more real, I tell everybody, if you're going to shoot that first video, be 30 seconds and just be relevant, try to relate to the customer. That's another thing. We got all these tools of social media, LinkedIn, Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. What do we do to research the customer or where they work at? You get a work email and all of a sudden you see they work at a law office or wherever it may be. Could you research the company? And maybe you find some commonality. Because if you're going to send me a work email, I can at least research that and understand what your line of work is.
Right.
Now, we just forget those little things that make a big difference because the customer is all about them.
Right.
And we make it all about us. And so that's what I always try to say is in the video, can you make something about them?
Yeah. Make it all about them. And the other thing I said, this may be the only time in life that this is true. So write it down. Shorter is better. So.
Yep. I say less is more. Less is more. It's all one syllables. That's right. So there you go.
There you go. You
more. Well, I talk about that because I do a presentation on actually using GIFs or GIFs in business. We're talking about video, and when we're texting, leverage some of those GIFs. I mean, they're all, you can get some bad ones out there, but if you go to jiffy.com, they're all PG-13. And like if somebody's ghosting you, everybody, go tap the glass, and you'll see that girl from Finding Nemo tapping the glass. And it gets me engagement all the time. It's somebody. So there's really good tricks out there.
Well, this has been great, Steve. We had lots of stuff to work on here, so I feel I'm a little embarrassed asking you the one question, but I ask every visitor on the show this question, and I promised my listeners whether they're in car sales or whether they're selling plumbing supplies or medicinal varieties of whatever on the corner or wherever they're selling their pharmaceuticals. I promise them that they're going to get one action step, one thing that they can walk away from the show today and put into action in their life to make their life and their business better. So Steve, give us just one thing that you haven't hit on yet, one thing that people can do today to start putting all this into action.
Well, yeah, I mean, the first thing is I would definitely invest in, what we're talking about now is video. Invest in video. For a guy, myself, that has got into a brand new industry, because I was in medical, I was a pharma guy, since you mentioned it.
Yeah.
But I got in the car business about 4.5 years ago. Not a lot of time. Terry, you and I just met, whatever it was, 3-4 months ago.
Yeah.
So I'm still learning a lot of people out there in the auto business, but I owe everything to really what video has done for me. And you got to invest that time. You got to believe that the video is going to help you do what's called upstream marketing. It's going to brand yourself. You may not see results tomorrow, but 6 months from now, you may. And that's why, like, even me doing this show with you, which I'm grateful just, having the time to get on here, because I do love helping people. This is my third startup company. I'm very happy it's successful. But the way I love to sell, and what I saw with this company was where video was being put on the map. That's what's done for me and our company is video has been the poster child of everything we've done. So I would tell everybody, invest in video. If your dealership doesn't do it, you have to believe in it enough to go out there and buy your own license to do it. And just think of it as Snapchat of business. You Snapchat your friends, and yet we email the customer. Aren't customers our friends? We got to perceive our customers differently. Talk to them like they're your buddies. We could send a customer a GIF. A GIF is going to be a fun way to communicate and hopefully break down the wall and have fun with them, because they may communicate back with you with GIFs. But video is by far what I would tell everybody to start investing in to earn the right, and just practice. I mean, you gotta, like you said, suck at video before you get better. I know I suck. I go back and I'll look at my videos from 4 years ago. My hair was different, but I'll make fun of myself, and I've learned so much doing video. So.
Well, anything worth doing well, anything worth doing is worth doing badly, and you got to start somewhere. I like so much that you said that the results may not come immediately, because so many people, they do the thing one time. You know, they go to the gym one time on New Year's Day. They go do one push-up, and when or they go make one video, and when the world doesn't change automatically, well, that doesn't work. But I'm an old radio guy. I come from a radio background, and frequency is king. And the key is hit them every single day and build up this library of touches that people, and get people used to seeing you, get people that where they know you're always going to be sending a video, or you're always going to be on Facebook doing a video, or you've got the YouTube channel with all the videos. And I walk into a room now, you know, anywhere, and go, hey, I've been watching you. I walked in the other day, and a guy I haven't seen in 5 years tells me, oh, I've been watching all your videos, man. I love that, blah, blah, blah. Let's have a meeting. And okay. You know, people are stalkers. You don't know they're watching, but people are watching.
No, that's exactly right. I mean, you know, like I had some, you know, again, starting up the company, and you know, we were going to all these trade shows, and you know, if you're a startup company, you gotta do things different, you know. And so you go to these trade shows, and you always see, oh, come visit my booth at 202, and it's just a poster on Facebook, LinkedIn. Boring. So if you go watch any of the videos, I was doing like some wrestling things. I would do a Ric Flair, I would do Macho Man, I would do Hulk Hogan, or whatever. I was doing all sorts of crazy things. I dressed up as Bret Michaels on one. So, but the idea is, I can't believe how many people are like, are you doing any more of your wrestling videos? And I'm just like, it was like a year ago. But I mean, it's cool that you get that, just like what you're saying is, people do watch. They may not like the video. I'm like, well, just like the video, so I know, you know, also like my kid. You didn't like it. You didn't like it.
Yeah. So. Well, Steve, this has been great, brother. I appreciate your time. I appreciate you being on the show. I appreciate you sharing your knowledge and education. Somebody wanted to get in touch with you. How did they do that?
Yeah, so obviously I'm going to say text me first. So I always brand. Actually, one of the best things I don't do is carry business cards. Yeah. Because nobody's really interested. I just tell them, here's my number, and I swap numbers. But my cell phone number is 314-803-4334. I'm all over on Facebook. I have a YouTube channel. And but if you did want to send me an email, it's pretty easy. It's just steve@drivecentric.com.
There we go. Steve at DriveCentric. Brother, this has been awesome. Best of luck this week. I hope you make it through. Hope your heart can take it.
Game 7, baby. I'm glad we did this interview before Game 7.
All right.
The next day.
We'll see you next time, everybody. Be well.
Thank you.
Get You Some Radio. You've been listening to the Get You Some Radio Show. Subscribe today at terrylancaster.tv to hear more episodes, win valuable cash and prizes, and get free training to help you create an army of buyers who know, like, and trust you before they've ever even met you. It's a big, wide world, boys and girls. Get out there and get you some.